cup of chi. Ladies, lovelies, and gents, welcome to the ChiCast. I'm your voice of mindfulness, Marcus Julian Combo at TCWM Studios in the city of brotherly love. And today, I'm thinking about something new. The Netflix documentary Bad Vegan. Oh yes. Even your voice of mindfulness can get involved with a little trash. So if you're looking for a little something special in your life, for those of you unfamiliar, although I doubt there are many given how high it was on Netflix top 10 list over the weekend, allow me to introduce you to its tagline. After marrying a mysterious man who claimed he could make her dog immortal, a celebrated vegan restaurateur finds her life veering off the rails. Bad vegan, fame, fraud, fugitives. My goodness, could this be more over the top? But the brief overview is this New York City socialite, this up-and-coming entrepreneur who's rubbing shoulders with Hollywood's best and brightest, the biggest power brokers from Luke Wilson to Tom Brady and Gisele Bündchen. This was a mover and a shaker traveling all over the world. And then it all one day comes crashing down, sort of, when this stranger, this Anthony, steps into her life. And in so many ways, just upsets the balance of things. Oh, where do I begin? He starts making these insane claims of being a special ops guy and ultra patriotic, as if he's fighting the good fight for us out there. And then, after some time, and mind you, he put in real time, he started asking for large sums of money, over and over again. Sums which seemed to me obscene at the time. 30 grand, 40 grand, 10 grand, 180 grand. And in no point, now I won't say at no point, did the subject of our documentary, the restaurateur, actually not question what was going on, but it was an interesting look into how this up-and-comer fell into this web of false truths, ultimately wanting to believe that this guy, who ultimately was funding his gambling addiction through her debts, there are going to be a lot of people talking about this because it was so high up So many people watched it. Or at least that's what Netflix tells me. And the tagline for this thing, the logline, whatever you want to call it, was so intriguing that I just... we bit immediately. Right there on the spot. Watch the whole thing. Whatever plans we had for that day be damned. And over the next coming days, there'll be plenty of people that talk about the narcissistic influence this guy held over her. They're going to talk about her mental illness, her mental status as these things unfolded. The cost of not accepting the now. There are a lot of things that are on display, but I want to talk about something hopefully no one else is talking about. The thing no one else is thinking. And I want to talk about this guy. Right? I want to talk about this guy. Anthony. Because the moment he shows up in pictures on the screen, I'm looking at this guy and thinking, this guy's a guy. He's a guy. He's obviously a guy. And that only becomes more apparent over time. This is a guy you find in the boroughs in South Philly, the tougher neighborhoods of Boston and Baltimore, Chicago and LA. He's a guy. He's a guy. You gotta do business with a guy. Get things done. He's that guy. Or at least he was trying to be. But what he wasn't was a Manhattan socialite. And yet, he weaved his way so deeply into this woman's life that ultimately his addiction derailed her career ambitions. And so I want to know how this was possible, how this guy was able to get in where he got in. Why and how was I able to see this guy as a guy and not these super educated folk that he simply blindsided? And I'm not saying this out of without grounds. Hear me out. He arrives on the scene making insane claims about being a CIA operative and or, again, super patriotic, going and disappearing into foreign lands and doing spooky things. And while there's some truth in you can't check to see if someone's in the CIA, just the claim of it should have been a red flag. Yeah. Those that know don't say. Those that say don't know. And so, somewhere in the middle of this, they actually find his arrest record, and he explains it away as another identity that he had as an operative. Maybe they needed a cup of tea, I don't know. But when he began to siphon money out of her business, I didn't understand. Well, that's not true. I could see how that could go down. But when he showed up at the restaurant, starts giving orders, the staff just continues on, sort of blindly, I wish I could say blindly, knowingly headed down the corridor. Ruin. It's fascinating how this whole thing unfolds. But again, it's not so much once he's interweaved his way in. It's the how did he get there in the first place? His original victim, his ex-wife, goes into the habits of our antagonist, of Anthony here, and says she could believe it was him that did it, and that he was simply playing on a bigger level than he had before. Wow. And so I wonder, as we talk about a world that is out of touch, the folks at the top knowing less and less about the folks at the bottom, does that allow for something like this to happen? I don't know. Tell me down in the comments. Tell us down in the comments, yeah? Would you have seen this guy coming? Did you watch The Bad Vegan? Have you ever known a guy? And it doesn't have to be a guy, but a guy. I got a couple of guys that ain't guys. You get what I'm saying? And that, you know, the con man, the gamer, the player. Talk to me. Have you run into this before? Tell us. Tell us down in the comments. It's a little chilly today. I gotta warm up my hands. If you watched Bad Vegan, what were your thoughts as it unfolded before you? Yeah. And then, once you're done with those comments, make sure to like, subscribe to the channel. Maybe even give it a share. Then if you're really enjoying yourself and you're looking for uninterrupted content, head over to Patreon to gain access to this and behind the scenes access, special events, and more ways to enjoy your mindful fitness adventure we call life. A big thank you to you, the patrons, for without you, I would not be able to do what I do.